You know, for way too long, when we talk about cybersecurity, it's all about one thing: fear. But what if we could totally flip that script? Today, we're going to look at a playbook for getting out of that reactive, panicked mindset and into a place where you're actually ready for whatever comes your way.
And this quote right here, it just nails the new reality we're all in. The game is totally changed. It's not about if you're going to face some kind of cyber issue, it's when. And look, that isn't me trying to scare you. That is just the fundamental truth of the digital world we live in now. This is the perfect way to think about it. I mean, seriously, you wouldn't run a business without a fire escape plan, right? We all do fire drills, not because we think there's going to be a fire tomorrow, but so we know exactly what to do when that alarm finally goes off. Your cyber readiness plan, it's just your digital fire drill. It's what turns that moment of pure panic into a calm, practiced, "Okay, we got this," response.
Okay, so what are we actually trying to achieve here? Well, it's not about building some kind of mythical, impenetrable digital fortress. Let's be real. Attackers are just too clever for that these days. The real goal is to build a resilient team, a resilient culture. It's about creating a team that can take a punch, get back up fast, and, this is the important part, learn from what happened.
And that brings us to the heart of it all, a culture of cyber readiness. And the most important word here is holistic. This is not just some job you hand off to the IT department and forget about. No way. It's a shared responsibility that's woven into the very fabric of your organization. It involves everyone, from the CEO down to the brand new intern. It's about your people, your processes, and your tech, all working together.
So how do we actually build this thing? Well, it kind of breaks down into 6 key parts. It all starts at the top with leadership, that's the yourself part, and then it flows down through your staff, your systems, and your data. It also means locking down your digital surroundings and, this is so crucial, having a crisis response plan ready to go before you ever need it. Think of this as our roadmap for the next few minutes.
All right, the very first step might sound super obvious, but you would be amazed how often it gets missed. You have to know what you're trying to protect. I mean, it makes sense, right? You can't draw up a defense plan for a city you haven't even mapped out yet.
So, we start with a really simple but really critical question. What is actually running on your network? And I mean everything. We're talking a full inventory. Every server, every laptop, every printer, and yeah, even that weird device an employee plugged in last week without telling anyone.
Okay, next up, who has the keys to the kingdom? This means you've got to take a hard look at all your user accounts. Who has access? What about your vendors or business partners? Every single one of those accounts is a potential doorway for an attacker.
And this might be the most important question of all. Where are the crown jewels? You've got to pinpoint the data that is absolutely essential for your business to even function. This is the stuff that if it got lost or stolen would cause the most damage. You have to know where it is and protect it like gold.
Okay, so once you've mapped out your territory, you can start building up your defenses. And here's the good news. Some of the most powerful protection you can get comes from a few pretty simple foundational habits.
This playbook really boils it down to 4 high-impact things every single organization should be doing. Number 1, turn on multi-factor authentication everywhere. 2, automate your software updates. 3, train your team. Turn them from a weak link into your first line of defense. And 4, back up your data. Seriously, just doing these 4 things will make you a much, much harder target for any attacker.
Let's just quickly break down that first one because it's so important. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is just a fancy way of saying you have to prove you are who you say you are in more than one way. So instead of just a password, something you know, it adds a second check, like a code sent to your phone, something you have. Look, if you only do one thing from this entire explainer, do this. It is one of the single most effective things you can do to protect your accounts.
Okay, so you've done all the prep work. You've mapped your assets, you've built your defenses. But what happens when an incident actually happens? When that digital fire alarm starts blaring, you need a simple, clear plan that everyone can follow, even when the pressure's on.
And here it is. The playbook calls it the ABCD of incident response. And I love this. Think of it like the first 8 ABCs, but for a cyber attack. It's a super simple, easy to remember framework to guide you when things get chaotic. And it's not always a step-by-step thing. It's more like a set of core tasks you cycle through as the situation changes. So let's break it down real quick. A is for assess. What happened? How bad is it really? B is for block. Stop the bleeding, right now. Contain the threat so it can't spread. C is for collect. Save the evidence so you can figure out what happened later.
And D is for disseminate, communicate, keep your staff, your stakeholders, everyone who needs to know, in the loop.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most critical piece of this whole puzzle. Being cyber ready, it's not a destination. It's not some project you finish and then check off a list. It's a discipline. It's an ongoing, continuous loop of preparing, practicing, and always getting better. And the best way to practice this discipline, it's with something called a tabletop exercise. This brings that fire drill analogy full circle. It's exactly what it sounds like. You get your team around a table, you give them a simulated crisis, like, hey, we've just been hit with ransomware, what do we do? And you talk through the entire plan. This is how you build that muscle memory so that when the real thing happens, your response is second nature.
So we end right back where we started, with a hard reality. An attack isn't a maybe, it's a when. It's coming. The only thing you can actually control is how you prepare for it. So the only real question left is, are you ready?